Why is change so freaking difficult to implement in organizations? You know what needs to change, you know why it needs to change, but you can't get the organization in line moving towards making that change a reality. Why? Okay, calm down. Take a breath. I'm here to share with you a few lessons that I've learned working alongside Fortune 100 executives going through some of the biggest transformations ever recorded in the business world. You ready to hear them? I know you are. Let's get it. Implementing change in organizations can be very difficult, whether they're small or large. It can invite a lot of stress, a lot of frustration, and even burnout. But why? Why is it so challenging to move change through organizations? Well, in this video, I'm not only going to be sharing the dynamics that drive that difficulty you experience when going through change, but also 3 key insights that's going to help you ease the difficulty, embrace the difficulty, and then move through that difficulty. So why is organizational change so difficult to implement? Well, I firmly believe the driver behind that is the fact that organizational change happens on the individual level first. Listen, it's really the people that make change happen. It's not the processes, it's not the documents, it's not the standard operating procedures. It's the people that make change happen and make change stick. And when we're thinking about making organizational changes, this is really about shifting habits, either breaking them or slightly modifying them into new habits. And those habits that are currently established today, or our status quo, has been built over time, over repeated behaviors, repeated actions, repeated ways of doing things. And in order to break that, it actually takes a lot of energy and time. And again, it happens at the individual level first. And of course, from individual to individual, breaking or forming new habits can be quite a challenge, especially depending on exactly what aspect of their work needs to change. And I think that's really the dynamic that's happening when you're having that difficulty moving change through an organization. It's the individual that has to embrace that change and make it happen, breaking or slightly changing already formed habit over time. You know, it reminds me of something that I learned from one of my wife's coworkers. And they said that in the experience of change from an individual perspective, so often we experience the loss before we experience the gain. So when a change is introduced and you know that you have to change a habit or change some way of doing something, there's a loss that exists. There's anxiety, perhaps there's grief, there's frustration in that I have to change the way I've always done things. I have to change what I know and what I'm doing well. And so a loss is experienced. And that can take time to get over, right? Get over that hump, that experience, that feeling, that sensation of loss. But once we can move through that, that's when the gain happens. It's so poignant when I'm working with organizations going through digital transformation, where they're moving from more antiquated systems to newer ones, really promoting efficiency. But my goodness, the loss. The loss that you experience in that first wave when you're striving to make the change can be very challenging, right? Because that's being experienced at the individual level. But then once the gain is begun, starting to see it from individual to individual, that's when you start building that momentum. So remember that dynamic that as an individual, so often we experience the loss of change before the gain, but both are true. And you become more effective and efficient and moving an organization through change when you can address that at the individual level. Acknowledge that there may be a feeling of loss, but that ultimately there's a gain, that if we can keep moving forward, we'll all find it and we'll be better because of it. So now I want to present 3 insights that I've learned through my work with Fortune 100 executives all over the world to ease, embrace, and move through the difficulty you might experience when trying to implement change in an organization. So let's start with how to ease the difficulty of change. A great way to ease that difficulty is to share both the tangible and the intangible reasons behind the why the change needs to happen. So what do I mean by that? The tangible meaning the data, the firm numbers, this is how much our revenue is going to grow, this is how many more customers we can anticipate to gain, this is how much more productivity we're going to have, how much time you'll save in your day, right? So those quantifiable numbers, the gain that you're going to get as a result of making the change a reality. Now the intangible is more about the motivation, the emotional aspects of the change, how life will be better, the employee life experience, the client or the customer life experience, how the day might be brighter going through it because things are going to be much more streamlined and more efficient. And so it's so important to put words to both that tangible as well as the intangible. And I guess I should say to put numbers to the tangible and then words to the intangible. How is this change going to make the employee experience better, brighter, and how is it going to work for the clients and the customers as well? Marry those both to help ease some of that challenge and the difficulty, and again, help individuals face the loss that they're going to feel first when moving through the change. The next insight that I want to offer is how to embrace the difficulty. And maybe you're asking yourself, why would you want to do that? Why would you want to embrace something that's difficult? Hear me out. Remember I said that in change, you can have both loss and gain. Both are true. So if you're experiencing difficulty and change, it probably means you're just experiencing the loss aspect. But remember, the gain is yet to come. So allow that discomfort, that difficulty that you might feel as a signal that there's an opportunity for you to gain, for you to progress forward, for you to grow. So again, it's just a different way of looking at things. If you're feeling difficulty, if you're sensing difficulty across the organization, it means the organization is stretching, growing, and learning. Lean into that. Embrace it, recognizing that the gain, the fruit of making this change, is right around the corner. By the way, if you're digging this content, I want to hear from you. Do me a favor, comment below, give me 3 of the most common emotions that you experience when you're going through organizational change. So whether that be a leadership shuffle, you're going through a new org design, something happening at work where there's an organizational change. What are the most common 3 emotions that you experience? Comment below. I want to see what's going on with all of you. All right, let's get back into it. Finally, I want to share an insight with you on how to move through the difficulty. And that's embracing the fact that the emotions of change are real and cannot be denied. Not only the emotions like anticipation and excitement and all those good feeling ones, but also the more difficult emotions of change. They're a natural part of the journey. And just because the change might have been introduced 3, 4, 6, 10 months ago, you still might have a day where you experience some of those more difficult emotions. And that's okay. If the emotions are there, trust they're there for a reason. And if they're more difficult, they're there to invite you into your moment of opportunity to grow. And know that regardless of where you're at in the change journey, at any given point in time, those emotions can exist. They're not to be ignored, not to be suppressed, but rather embraced, recognized as gifts, inviting you into your greatest moment of opportunity to continue to grow, to continue to learn. Know that the emotions of change are real. Don't deny them in yourselves, and don't deny them in those around you. Okay, so if you dug this content, I've got something else for you for free. So I want to share with you a snippet of a keynote recording. This is something that I shared with leaders going through tremendous change within their organization. Insights that I've gleaned from working with Fortune 100 executives all over the world for the past several years, as well as research that we did in partnership with the leading research institutes. Yours today for free. I don't know why I keep singing that, but I'm just so amped and excited to give it to you. Okay, so all you gotta do is click the link below and it's yours today for free. I wanna make sure you have the insights, the tools, and the data to ensure your continued growth through even your greatest change challenges. I'm Cassandra Worthy, and until we meet again, keep growing and keep rocking.